Yeah, good. Welcome once again. And with me is another text anthology that is The Explorer's Daughter. It's done by none other than Kari Herbert. But what are some of the things that you're going to be looking into? This time around, we're going to be looking again into background and context, understanding the text, and an exam style question. Students, grab your pen and a notebook and let's do this together. We're going to look at any kind of prospected exam style question and the model answering techniques, especially now that it's paper one. They will be asking most commonly to be looking into different use of language devices and structure, and if you will be able to identify any and suggesting their effects as they've been used by different writers in these short stories. Welcome. Background and context. Kari Herbert's father was a polar explorer. She lived as a child with her family in northwest Greenland in the Arctic. She was so fascinated by the place that she returned there later as an adult to write about it. The book from which this extract is taken is partly a memoir and partly a travel book, giving the reader information about this strange and beautiful place, its people, and its animals. She found that the way of the life of the Inughuit people of Greenland was changing due to the impact of the modern world. However, they still retained aspects of their traditional way of life, such as hunting for food and driving teams of dogs. A major part of the extract is an account of a hunt for narwhal. Hunting is a very emotive issue, and many conservationists argue that whales should be protected. Kari Herbert's feelings on this topic are divided. She sympathizes with both the narwhal and the hunters, who face incredible danger. They hunt in kayaks in water so cold that they would die quickly if their kayak overturned. Understanding the text. Kari Herbert sympathizes with both hunter and hunted. The writer's central purposes are to convey the tension of the subject, but also its beauty. You need to examine the different ways in which the writer does these things within the same passage. The extract has many purposes, and the writer uses language in different ways to fulfill these purposes. She uses description to convey the beauty of the setting, gives us information about the Inughuit and the narwhal, dramatizes the hunt, and gives us an insight into her own thoughts and feelings. Students, there are three aspects. There are many purposes that the writer specifically write this particular short story. One, the extract uses language in different ways to fulfill these. She uses description to convey the beauty of the setting. There is description, the use of description right there. She gives us information about the Inughuit, the people, and also the narwhal. She equally dramatizes the hunt and gives us, the readers, an insight into her own thoughts and feelings, where we understand that she is in dilemma. She has got mixed up emotions and feelings towards the hunt and the hunted. Exam style questions. Students, before you answer this question here, remember that in paper 1 you'll specifically be asked to identify any use of language and structure to pinpoint or to bring out various aspects or various intentions of the writers. So it has always been language and structure. Language and structure. And if I can manage to help you understand the use of language, how writers have used different language styles and structure, then I would have achieved my purpose. So step by step, let's go through the answer below and see how different languages and structures has been incorporated by this writer here, Kari Herbert, to bring out her intended purpose, especially to this case to explore the hunter's way of life. How has language and structure been used to explore the hunter's way of life? And the question also requires you or expects you to support your answers with close reference to the passage, including brief quotations, usually awarded 12 marks. So let's go. The passage begins as a narrative recount, drawing the readers into the story, but ends with a consideration of the ethical issues of hunting. Time markers are used to show how the watchers are waiting and observing the approach. And I quote, 2 hours after, end of that first quote, within an hour, end of the second quote. There is poetic description of the narwhal spray catching the light in a spectral play of color, which adds up a mystical quality to the description. The contrast between the adverbs used to describe the narwhal moving slowly, methodically, and the writer scrambling back serves to highlight her excitement. The writer's sharp intake of breath indicates her senses of anticipation. The men are always called the hunters, which both anonymizes them and emphasizes how they are defined by this role. The role of the women seems to be as observers and supporters. Good. Having said that, the visual imagery with its references to light is in Glittering Kingdom, and the evening light was turning butter gold, shows how the writer was awed by the beauty of the landscape, amazed rather. However, this also leads at the end of the first paragraph to her wondering if the narwhal were merely mischievous tricks of the shifting light. There's also the juxtapositioning of man and whale supplies an epic quality to the confrontation. The use of plural pronoun as in, we sat at the lookout shows how the writer feels connected to the other women who are watching. The third paragraph provides a detailed explanation using more factual language, matak, topilax, of why the Inughuit hunt the narwhal, moving away from the writer's direct experience but providing a justification of the hunt and expounding on how the Inughuit benefit from the narwhal. The writers return to the hunt in the fourth paragraph, stating with a long complex sentence which moves from all the women to each woman focusing on her husband and therefore conveys the intensity of the experience for the observers. There's the use of adjectives, crucial, staple, much needed. This reinforces the significance of a successful hunt. The use of the analogy, it was like watching a vast waterborne game, is undercut by the simile of the hunters spread like a net, which reminds the reader of their purpose and intent. The danger that each man faces is emphasized through the reference to the flimsy kayak and the fact that he has only one harpoon. The penultimate paragraph highlights the writer's mixed feelings about the hunt, her admiration for the intelligent creatures, and her respect for the hunters. The use of long, multi-clause sentence in this paragraph allows the writer to build up the tension of the hunt. And the contrast between how she urged the man on in her head, that is in my head, and my heart also urged the narwhal to dive with the repetition of the verb shows her conflicted and contradictory feelings towards the whole scenario. Finally, good students, the use of the tricolon of infinitive verbs urging the narwhal to dive, to live, to survive, with its rhythm and rhyme conveys the writer's intense emotional response to the animal despite the beauty of much of the description. The writer has a deep understanding of the quote-unquote harshness of life in the Arctic for the Inughuit. The final paragraph returns to a calmer tone with phrases such as I understand and the use of the impersonal. One cannot afford to be sentimental in the Arctic, contrasting with the immediacy and pace of the previous paragraph. The final single clause sentence with its use of an intensifier sums up her thoughts in a strong and unarguable statement. Hunting is still an absolute necessity in Thule. Good students, I would prefer that you pause, because you might need to pay attention to the lines. But again, I just want to give you hope that each of those, the use of, let's say for example, long sentences, short sentences, and the linguistic devices, stay put and subscribe to this particular channel, because next time around what you're going to be looking at are going to be in detail how language or different languages have effects and how you'll possibly be able to highlight one. This is just a sample that will guide you, that will open up your field of view, that you will see this is exactly, or this is what you're expected in an exam. This is just an answering response or a model of how you would be responding. And stay put for more videos.